It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the UCLA head softball coach, Kelly Perez. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start college coaching and get into coaching?
Um, I can honestly say I don't know if I knew I was going to be a college coach. I went to UCLA, got my degree in psychology, and was going to pursue the sports psychology route. Was fortunate to get into the master's program at UCLA, and was going to get into sports psych. And I graduated in '93, and probably a month after I graduated, the head coach Sharon Backus called me and asked me to stay on staff. And the administration had me make a decision to say either go to school or coach, which we're not going to have you do both because it was a full-time commitment for both. And I remember at that time saying, I could always go back to school. I had a really great career at UCLA, and I was very close to my team. So having the opportunity to stay, and that's just a unique time as a student athlete. Once you graduate, there's so many emotions, both exciting and also a little scary leaving that comfort zone. So a month afterwards, getting an opportunity to come back, with my team, I jumped on that, and had no idea where it would take me, but really just haven't looked back. So I can literally say I graduated in June and started coaching. Pretty much in July. A month after my season and my career ended. But it has been a wonderful journey. I've been fortunate, to be surrounded by so many wonderful people, which is why I've continued to pursue this profession and not really call it a job. To be able to do what you love every day and go to work and be inspired is, I don't really consider it work. I'm just really fortunate to do something that I'm passionate about.
That's amazing. Can you talk about, of course, playing and then now coaching, like what the difference was like whenever you first started?
Oh yeah, there's clearly a big difference between playing and coaching. Playing, there's so much more that's in your control. We know the game is out of your control, but just practicing and putting in the time and learning from every game, from the different experiences. I have great memories of just some really epic highs and some really low lows. I also experienced being an injured athlete. I had three different surgeries on my shoulder, so had that experience of rebuilding back and going through the training room and being in pain and enduring and all of those things that come with recovering from a serious injury. So the experience as a student athlete, was completely different. I also had the great fortune to be surrounded by some amazing teammates that we were able to win three championships, as a student athlete. And there's nothing that replaces that feeling of being on the field with your teammates after a championship and celebrating that. On the flip side, being on the coaching side, it is it's a whole different deal. So many people have asked, what's more rewarding, being a coach or player? And it's not even close. Being a player, 100% is as good as it gets. But as a coach, it's very rewarding. It's more than just coaching softball. It's really developing young women, to be powerful female leaders in life, with the experiences that they gain, both on and off the field. So my job as a softball coach is very rewarding. It is preparing them, it's pushing them, it's getting them to believe in themselves when they don't, when it's very difficult, when they're being challenged. There is satisfaction in seeing them come together and play their best when their best is needed. But two completely different worlds. And I'm just blessed to have an experience as a player and assistant coach, which is a whole different role. And then going into a head coach, which, three different perspectives of the game. I have something the previous or the first head coach, Sharon Backus, always said, everybody should umpire first, and then be an assistant coach before they become a head coach. And you gain perspective on just the responsibility of being that head coach. And I truly believe that, I've just to be able to experience all these things have allowed me to become, a little more experienced of where I am today.
Can you talk about, you said you played in championships whenever you were going through school, and then you also have coached in championship. What is the difference like in experience in that?
Um, well, playing once again, I was a catcher, so I was fortunate to be in a position that you got to have a lot of input and say. I called games, I called plays, I got to quarterback. Being on the field, have a relationship with the umpire and my teammates. So I can vividly remember what it feels like to take a pregame before a big game, or just can feel. I can have visuals of being able to hit the ball, seeing the ball, and hitting it into a gap and scoring runs. So that thrill of play, victory and defeat is why athletes play. We truly love, with the lows come some tremendous highs, and that's just outstanding. But to answer your question about the difference between the difference between the two, as a coach, I've also had some moments where it's been very challenging, where it's so out of your control as you're watching your players perform or not perform. It can be very frustrating. And as a young coach, I would take it, it would be very difficult for me to manage, knowing that it was my responsibility to get them to be where they needed to be. So in my younger days, I didn't coach at my best because I almost had their performance reflect completely how I was preparing them, which was more focused about me. As a coach now, it's my job to do all I can to prepare them and build confidence, and then to let them play the game, and then to be able to teach them how to manage success and failure, because our sport gives us both, a lot of both. So there's one way of playing and really getting after it and getting the feedback day to day and the feel of the sport. And then there's the coaching perspective of managing and dealing with success and failure, motivating, inspiring, all rebuilding when you need to, encouraging. It's completely two different roles. But once again, my major was in psychology, so I really like dealing with, your perception is your reality, and how you go about whatever is happening. It's not what happens, it's what you do next, is one of my big mantras. So as a coach, that is more of my role, is being able to really redirect mindset, motivate them, inspire them, and get them to truly want to be the best they can for their team in those big moments.
That's amazing. Can you talk about the winning culture that you have helped build at UCLA?
Yeah. Our philosophy at UCLA is very simple. There's three things: your family and faith come first. So it's the people that you surround yourself with that are the most important. And we're not just a softball program for 4 years or a commitment for life. Our alumni are heavily invested. So the people are very important. School is real at UCLA as far as the degree has value. There is value behind the brand of the degree, knowing that it's very competitive to get into UCLA. So we take great pride in the academics, and I get to fortunately recruit what I consider the top 1%. They are balanced athletically, academically. They compete in both arenas, on the field and in the classroom, and it allows for them to keep their priorities straight. Family comes first, then school, and softball is just what we love to do. If you come to UCLA just to play softball, then you're not going to be successful, because if you're not eligible, you can't play. If you don't take care of your family, if you're not a good teammate, you won't help us succeed. So the culture of the program is really based on how you keep your priorities straight. Be a good teammate, do well in school, and as a result, you'll be able to play great softball. And our culture is really focused on taking pride in being a part of something that's bigger than you. I am fortunate to be the third head coach in the history of UCLA softball, and it's not about me. My job is to leave this program in a better place, to continue this tradition. And all the players that come in know it's not about one person or themselves or what they're going to get, but it's being a part of something bigger and how they can help, once again, leave the four letters and the program in a better place once they graduate. So our culture is really focused on what UCLA family represents, not just winning championships here at UCLA as a softball player.
That's an amazing culture. Can you talk about the 2010 and 2019 World Series winning it?
Yeah, I mean, 2010 was an amazing battle. We had a lot of adversity in 2010, just challenges. We started off the pack, I think, 0-6. We kind of got kicked early and came together at the right time. And it was an epic battle against a respected rival in Arizona. Just offensive battles that went back and forth. But it really came down to a collective effort on really buying into whatever it takes to win. At a time when we hadn't had the championship experience, in the program in 2010, we hadn't won a championship in several years. So I give a lot of credit to that 2010 team, but that was really, truly, I could say, a struggle of a year. And we came together at the right time and really bought into the process. And we're fortunate to walk away with a championship against a very talented Arizona team. And then the 2019 team was a different experience. We had an outstanding season. We were very successful, had the pitcher of the year, just had several players who played very well, but the only adversity that we really hit after, a close to a flawless season was we dropped our last Pac-12 series to win the Pac-12 championship outright. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. We went from having an outstanding, almost flawless season to right before postseason, we experienced failure. And for me as a coach, it was perfect because as a coach, you want as much adversity as you can going into postseason because you don't want your first experience to be in postseason and have that be the end of your season. So in 2019, we dropped that series, the only series we had dropped all year, and had a decision to make. What are we going to do next? And how the girls responded through that adversity is why we won a championship. They made a decision that nothing was too hard. They learned not to expect or assume that we were going to win because we were very talented, but they had to really earn it. And there was never going to be a game that we would stop throwing punches as far as trying to put runs up on the board. To know, and we would respect our opponents that they were going to put a fight up, and we hoped that they would bring their A game because then that would take us to a different level. So completely two different experiences. But in 2010, it was a strong, powerful, just vibe there at the end. I mean, it took us a while to come out of it. And the same feeling happened in 2019, where once we lost, seeing the look on their faces of what just happened, but seeing what they did with a relentless pursuit, literally trying to, getting after every pitch. I was really proud. And probably the most memorable part of 2019 was in game one of the championship versus Oklahoma. We made history in that every player on the bench got into the game on that day one of the championship game. And that doesn't happen, at any level. When you're in championship play, you're really looking to get after W's. You're not looking for playing time at the end of your year, especially day one of the championship series. But the culture was so strong, and we had done a great job of putting runs up on the board that they were passing the bat, and they were looking to give opportunities to every player that committed to the process to help us get there. And that's when you really talk about strong cultures. And people, it's a cliche. After you win, the culture was strong. Everyone bought in. Everyone says that. I got to feel it and see it in action after, in that first game where they wanted everyone to experience what it felt like on the field. And I've, never been a part of that as long as I've been at UCLA. So very, very proud. Our culture is in a great place, but we're taking care of each other and we trust the process. And as a result, we all kind of get what we want to be able to be champions and get a chance to do it again in 2021.
That's amazing that the whole entire team came off the bench.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you talk about going to the World Series 5 years in a row and competing for the World Series?
Yeah, I think a big part of the program, when I came in as a freshman at UCLA, we were the defending champions. So there was an atmosphere, there was an aura about the program of just a level of expectation that came from the players of this is what we do, this is how we go about it. So as a freshman, I could just look around and feel it, and I would walk and talk a little different or play at a different level because everybody else, that this is what they do. And as a result, when you get to this stage and the experience kicks in where this is what we do, we're very clear about how we go about it, and everyone's mission is the same. There's a comforting feeling as a freshman going into a championship play with upperclassmen that have been there. And I think a big part of that for us is it took us a while to get back. The game has changed. We were a West Coast dominated sport in the 80s and 90s. And now the game has changed where it's truly coast to coast. The SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Big 10 have all improved with their facilities, with their coaches, with the quality of athletes that they brought in. So it is a competitive sport from coast to coast. And as a result, there is no one dominant team. We were the dominant team in the 80s and the 90s. And now, it is very spread out across, who can win. So dominance or consistency at the World Series is not something that is guaranteed. But for us to build our way back to that, it took, and I credit those players prior to us being there 5 years in a row, being able to build back the expectation and the ability to execute in those big moments to get back to the World Series. And now it is an expectation. There is experience. And that is a big game changer when it comes to the end. Anybody can get to the World Series because in sports, anything can happen. You need talent and a little bit of luck, and anything can happen at any moment. And that's what we love about sports, right? Is we love that underdog coming through. But being able to be there consistently, there is a level of experience, and that comes with a work ethic and expectation, a commitment to what it is that we're really trying to pursue. And when you get everybody on that same path, then you put yourself in a position to have the opportunity to be a regular contender there. Everyone's striving to do that, but I really credit the girls and their ability to understand what is our goal. Our goal is not just to get there. Our goal is to do everything we can to win it. And it starts with work in the fall. It starts with work in the classroom. It starts from the very beginning. It's not just something we look to at the very end.
That's wonderful. Can you talk about, of course, competing in your conference with, of course, Oregon and some of the big name schools?
Yeah, I mean, the Pac-12 is the winningest conference in the history of our sport. We have more championships. We have the best athletes, we believe, in the sport. Historically, it's a fact. More Olympians, more All-Americans, more Honda Broderick Award winners. We definitely have bragging rights. And so with that, there is a competitive level of play in every team and every conference. I'm sorry, in every team in our conference. So, and that can change year to year on who those teams are, but there is a level of respect and of each opponent. And there's a level of excitement when we travel to different facilities that we have a lot of pride in being the Pac-12. I really enjoy all the Pac-12 coaches. We have a respectful rivalry. We can work together as a group to be able to make change and have a voice in the sport. But when it comes to the field, we'll go head to head with each other on the field and do whatever it takes to win. So it's an enjoyable, respectful rivalry that we have. But I think the most important thing is we all know that it's our job to once again sustain this tradition of being the winningest conference in the history of our sport. And as a result, we continue to get the best athletes to come and represent in the Pac-12.
Can you talk about, of course, the recruitment process and what you look at for young high school athletes?
Yeah, I think for us, we're a balanced school. So athletically and academically, there's a lot of talent across the country, but we also are looking at the academic piece as well. So we're looking for excellence in the classroom and on the field. I think work ethic in this generation, our sport, the girls are starting to work at a very young age. They're starting softball at a very young age. They're getting into travel ball. They're showing commitment, because they understand that there is a path to be able to get a discount into college or have an opportunity to play for a program and have a quality experience at the collegiate level. It is our major leagues because there isn't a really established pro opportunity for the softball athletes. So college is the golden ticket. So there's a level of commitment and work ethic that is already there. I think the game changers that separate people are their academic background. Can they do excellent and show their commitment to excellence in things that they don't love? Nope. Very few love school, very few love math or love, sciences, but to show that commitment and their ability to manage their time is something that we're really looking at. Obviously, our sport has changed also, that we have some very well-rounded athletes in softball. No longer is it just a strength sport or just a pitching sport. You see well-rounded triple threat athletes that can run, that can throw, that have speed and power. We're stealing athletes from soccer and from volleyball to come and play softball. So it's a very exciting sport. There's a speed factor, there's a power factor. And I think having all that with versatility, academics, athletics, work ethic with versatility and athletic ability, I think everyone's looking for that in their program.
What is the official visit like at UCLA?
Well, it changes year to year, as we just had to cancel our official visits this last fall. But typically we bring them in for a 48-hour period. We bring them into campus. They have a full just itinerary set up for the day where they come and they usually meet all the people that they need to meet, the team, the coaches, the athletic department, our support structure, academically and with resources, the training room, the weight room. They see the facilities. And you know, I think a big part of your official visit is to go to a campus and meet the people and feel the vibe of the campus. Every campus has a heartbeat, you know, and what is it that you walk away with is that feeling of, can you see yourself here? Can you see yourself succeeding? Can you see yourself failing and still enjoying the process at this school? You know, and you know, we used to use the analogy, if you took softball away, you know, would you still be happy with where you are? And it seemed like a silly analogy because people would say, well, I'm coming here for softball. But here we sit with softball taken away. And I've told our girls, you know, I'm like, we're not able to get after defending our championship, yet you're still getting after a degree that's going to be very valuable in a location that is very reputable. The weather is, you know, it's a beautiful, you know, just under 80 today here in SoCal, but they're happy with where they are. And I think that's an important part of an official visit is everybody has different levels of facilities, which are nice and obviously a part of the experience, but it's the people that you're dealing with and the culture that you're going to be a part in the community. And I think those things are things that you really need to look at on your official visit. So we'll usually attend a sporting event. We'll do some, you know, we have fun challenges with the team. They get an opportunity to meet and feel the team and have some time with the student athletes. Like I said, we do sporting events so you can feel the vibe of what the culture is in all of athletics, not just softball, but we take pride in the Bruin family at UCLA. So all the sporting teams work together where we can go to events or they'll meet other student athletes in other sports. And I think when you get that culture and you feel that it's not just about one sport, but it's about taking pride in all of athletics, then you walk away with, wow, everyone is really proud, or they give you a lot of props for being recruited to be a student athlete at UCLA, because that means you academically got into UCLA, athletically, you were chosen to be one of the best. And it's not a bad place to be in Southern California in the city of Westwood. We're surrounded by some wonderful opportunities to go to the beach or in the mountains in the same day. We can go north to Santa Barbara, south to San Diego. You can hit Vegas. There's great opportunities at UCLA. And I always say they're options. You know, they're distractions, but they're options. You can go and do a lot of things, or you can just stay in our college town of Westwood and have everything that you possibly need. But our goal is to get them on, meet the people, feel the culture, get the vibe of campus, and walk away with a feeling like I can see myself in a place where these people are going to take care of me and they're going to help me grow, and I'm going to put myself in a position to have a quality experience.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing official visit. Do you, of course, let them try on jerseys to make sure like
Absolutely.
they love that, like kind of like Carolina blue UCLA colors?
Well, we have our own blue. It's and it's so with it we have our own brand. So we have, yes, the UCLA uniforms that we can put them in and take pictures of them. So if they do commit to being a Bruin when we announce them, then we can show them in their uniforms. You know, there's things that you can and cannot do per NCAA rules, but I think separate even from that, you know, like I say, facilities and clothes and all those things are wonderful opportunities, and we're very fortunate. You know, the student athletes are taken care of, and they're head to toe. We're sponsored. We're taking on Nike as our apparel from head to toe. We have Easton for bats and gloves, and they're fully taken care of head to toe with their gear. But beyond that, if I took away all of that, I think the most important thing, once again, is being able to feel, once again, the pride of being a part of joining our family. And it's not just the current team, it's our Bruin alumni and how they come back and give back and how they're kicking butt in the real world after having a quality experience. That's the biggest part of what you're going to get coming to UCLA. It's not about the bling, it's about the quality experience and the people that you're going to get an opportunity to be family with.
That's amazing. What advice would you give upcoming high school athletes looking to get recruited into playing college softball?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is you're going to have to find the best fit for you. So, you know, having your top colleges, doing a little research to find out if they have the major that you're looking into in a location that is a location. Once again, there's a fit for everybody on what feels comfortable for them. Once again, I'm always going to go back to, you know, meeting the people, but you never make a decision on just the coaching staff. You know, you can get some information, because in this generation there's been a lot of changes with coaching staffs. You know, we are the only staff in the country that have had all my coaches attend UCLA, graduate from UCLA, and have experienced UCLA, and we've all been here forever. So, but I still wouldn't say anybody should make a decision on just a coaching staff. So finding a good fit academically and athletically, being able to find out what your opportunities could be, but that's not the only guarantee. Nobody should say you're going to be the starting shortstop, but to be able to have an opportunity in certain positions, I think is important information. Being able, I really truly believe finding out what major you're interested in, I think is an important part, but separate from a specific major, like whether it be comm or econ or psych, being able to find value in that degree on how it's going to help separate you out in an interview. There's going to be a stack of resumes, and what's going to separate you out in that interview process. So you want to find a school that's not just focused on softball, because is that going to pull you out of an interview for a job? But being able to pull you out would be making sure you attend a school that has a reputable academic background, knowing that you competed also in the classroom, and that you're putting yourself in a position to be of great value beyond your softball skills. So I think it's an important piece. We are not a pro-driven sport. We don't have an MLB for softball, but you will have an opportunity to get a degree that's going to open up doors and separate you out from everyone else on top of your softball experience. So academically, athletically, in a location that feels good to you, I think is always a great place to start for every athlete.
What advice would you give upcoming college coaches looking to get started?
Understand that it's a grind. Everyone has to start. I think when I started coaching my first year, I think I was making $12,000, and was doing it for the love of coaching. It wasn't for the salary. It was because I love to coach. It's a profession that is so rewarding, yet there are so many opportunities, but being able to go in, being able to bring value. What is it that you specialize in that you can bring value to a staff? So finding that there's a love for the game, which everybody has, but something that you could add, whether it be an offensive philosophy or the understanding of all the technology and metrics that are out there, whether it be a pitching or defense or infield or outfield specialty, something that you could bring that would add to a staff. Obviously, in our coaching world, it's the sport of softball. If you can throw a batting practice, you got a golden arm. I mean, that's huge. But finding out what you can do to bring value, I'd say would be number one. Being able to also realize as a younger coach, being able to go and work for a head coach that you really value and respect. Because being a young assistant coach or being a new head coach, it's your ability to learn and adapt, I think is important. There's a whole different conversation about assistant coaches. There's so many assistants that definitely will go coach in programs and walk away saying, God, I know so much more than that head coach, or I would have done it this way or done it that way. But I think understanding as an assistant coach, your role is to be able to really articulate whatever the philosophy is of that head coach and be able to translate that into the players and get them to buy in or follow or understand what the philosophy is. That's a very important part of an assistant coaching role that will bring value to you of loyalty, and also bringing clarity and helping the culture that can elevate you to a position of being valued to open up doors for you as a coach. As a young head coach, I think truly being able to have your own philosophy. What is it that you buy into? What do you want your players to truly walk away with some important values? Like, what is it that you stand for that you want them to understand? Because a lot of coaches will go in with the thing, I have to have all the softball knowledge. I got to know how to hit, throw, field. More important than that as a head coach is to have a philosophy and some guiding principles of what you want your players to understand. And that takes time and a little self-reflection of what it is that you should have your players be able to articulate, what it is that you believe in, and be consistent with that message. That allows for clarity. When people are clear, they'll go through walls for you.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
Where could they find me on social media?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a Twitter account. I have an Instagram account. UCLA Softball has a Twitter and an Instagram account. So, I obviously on our UCLA Softball website, you could reach me through my email at any time. So I think those are probably the biggest avenues to be able to reach out. If anyone wanted a shout out, then to be able to take that route. I would say if anyone wanted to be able to really communicate, it'd probably be to send me an email, and that you can get to the UCLA Softball website online.
Thank you again, Coach Kelly, for your interview, and best of luck in this upcoming season.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for reaching out, Brandon. You take care.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Kelly, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks. Take care.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.